Peace, everybody. What is going on? What is going on? I hope y'all hear me. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. We're gonna have a interesting show today. Very interesting. I'm trying to do my greetings in the chat right now. Hey, y'all can hear me loud and clear. Thank you. So, I hope everybody's doing good. I'm doing well. Family's doing well. We are prospering. We are maintaining in our prosperity. I need a haircut, yo. They cut it too low. Now it's too high a little bit. I'm gonna get it all taken care of. But I'm keeping the bid. I'm gonna try to get it out there. I'm gonna try to grow it real, like ancient Moses Noah days. I'm trying to go. I'm I don't know. Maybe like right here. I don't know. I'm getting a lot of compliments over it, so I'm gonna keep it. But I do need to get this top part taken care of. Try to do it today, couldn't do it. And how I'm taking care of it is by our wonderful sponsors called Wolfman's Beard Care. Here it is. They are faithful listeners and followers of mine. They sent me this as a gift. So just take it out and I put it on. You know, a little something. I like the way this Cuban leaf smells. So what prompt? Well, I'm doing all of these shows. I'm probably going to do shows every day eventually, but right now it's 4. And some people say, you sure you want to do it? See, I said, you sure you want to do these shows? That's a lot. Well, yeah, I'm sure. Because I ain't got no time to waste anymore. It's getting mission critical. I have to build this wealth, this legacy, and the only way I can get it done is to do it consistently every day. I have to put my face out there. Pretty soon, I did an interview a few weeks ago, but it takes them about a month to get all of the clips done and put it on the air. Pretty soon, a very popular channel is going to show an interview of me that I did in California. It's a great interview. When I get the links, I'll share it with you guys. But a lot of things happened this month where I've been in this holding pattern, waiting for this explosion. This thing is about to explode. This ministry is about to get big, supernatural, international. It's going big. I'm working on a project right now where I'm going on a campaign to help people get rid of student loans the way I have taught it. I did it in the private. Now I'm going mainstream with it, where I'm going to consistently, we're going to get rid of this fraudulent debt stuff going on, these student loans. So that's in the work. Man, there's so much stuff in the works. Let me stop talking about what I got in the works because, well, the ancestors got my back. God got my back. I'm going to be all right. But yesterday after my show, shortly, like almost immediately after my show, I got a text. How are you doing? Oh, no, the text started off with a scripture. Let's read it. I'm going to read the scripture. It said, Isaiah 43, 1-2, do not be afraid, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, it will not overflow. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned, and the flame will not scorch you. Whenever I see people sending me scriptures, I immediately say to myself, what do they want? What do they want? Oh, Kim, you're so suspicious, but I do this every day. And like I said in my show yesterday, when you have something to offer people, all they want to do is come and take. They never want to really give you anything. A lot of people are like that. They want to hear what you have to say, get the information, extract your resources, which your intellect, use it for their own purposes, and then you won't hear from them again for a long time until they have a problem. And this is exactly what went down here. Started with some small talk. Then let me get down. Oh, are you doing your show? Your blog talk? I know I haven't done blog talk in over a year, right? I haven't uploaded anything to Blog Talk in a long time. I'm gonna get back. I still have the Blog Talk platform. I just haven't, because I'm just a one-man show. I'm gonna hire me a virtual assistant to get that stuff uploaded up there on Blog Talk. Got to keep that going. That's where it all started. But are you doing your Blog Talk show? That shows you how long they even listen to me. And I said, already done. I didn't say I don't do blog. I didn't go through all of that stuff, right? Oh, boo-hoo. Okay. Are you talked out? So that means they want to contact me and get some information. And I said yes. But then went on some rant about, let's just skip down to the part. They put, I was unlawfully detained 2 days ago. LOL. I get curious for what? Nonsense. I rear-ended a woman. That's not nonsense. You hit somebody. You damaged property. You definitely have a victim here in this situation. And I said, well, why would they detain you? I already knew what was going on. They didn't have the proper credentials to even drive that car, and they got arrested. That prediction, it wasn't. It don't take a psychic, a prophet to even know what was going down here. Not bad at all. The officer tried to say it was resisting arrest without violence, when in actually I asked him 2 times if I was under arrest. See that BS? They're watching videos and they're following nonsense. That's sovereign citizen nonsense. And he said, no, I was trying to keep my business between the woman who I rear-ended and myself. So she was trying to keep their business between themselves because they didn't have insurance. So they were trying to hide it. What's the charges? Resisting arrest without violence, no license, no tag, no insurance. He did not ask me for ID. He actually knocked it out of my hands along with my phones. I actually doing something I think is pretty cool. And this is where the extraction of my knowledge is. They're trying to mine my mind right now. I'm actually doing something I think is pretty cool, and I would love for you to oversee it. I already knew I wasn't overseeing jack doo-doo. I know I'm a minister. I do curse. I wasn't overseeing jack shit. Okay? I made that up in my mind. Between a trademark and sending the presentments that were sent to the mailbox back with a third-party affidavit. See the nonsense? None of these techniques have any basis in any law or fact that you can even use effectively here. So I said, I'm sorry, I don't support those teachings. It has never worked in the past. Let me know how it goes. I'm just politely. Then they're going to tell me about the accomplishments of some guy. Remember, I tell you, whenever these little processes come, they already know some guy who did something and had some success. There never any real factual stuff. They said this guy has gotten 3 people out of jail and 8 people out of jail when he was in jail. Oh, he got people out of jail while he was in jail. Why the hell he didn't get himself out of jail, didn't get somebody out of jail? See what I'm saying? Nonsense. But that's all right. I accept your position. Then I said, they all say that. And then others, have reviewed it and say that is brilliant. Then I said, okay, then you don't need my opinion. They got upset. They did like one of those emojis that cover your face, like, oh my, I'm impossible. Yes, I'm impossible. It would be impossible for me to sit here and help you with this nonsense. And this is the whole reason why the topic of the show. Now, listen, you will be an absolute fool. And I know some of y'all listening have done this, but I'm telling you, straight up, you'll be absolute fool to sit here and drive without a license, driving them without insurance, and driving under a bad registration. This is why in my process, I teach you how to have all of those things, but you put your status on the record with them. I've done it. My son has done it, and plenty of other people have done it. This way, okay, I got this. See, you need those credentials for the policy enforcer, that police officer, because he doesn't know any of this. And he don't, quite frankly, he's taught and trained to be hostile towards it. And also, he doesn't want to deal with your nonsense about right to travel and be preached to on the side of the road. He just want to write the ticket, write up the report, get on, and so he can go home to his family. He's just trying to make a living. And these people out here giving these guys a hard time. Being a police officer or a law enforcement officer is a hard damn job. Okay, because you're dealing with nonsense all day. Are there police officers that abuse their position? Yes. But that's a small few that do it. See, what we like to do, we see a couple of bad apples who do these bad things to people, and we like to paint a broad brush and say every one of them like that. I personally have family that are law enforcement, a lot of them. And they're good people. So not everybody, just because they're a cop, is looking to hurt you. I mean, to be honest with you, I've had running with law enforcement, and the white officers treated me better than the black ones did. That's just my experience. That may not be everybody's experience, but my experience, I was treated with respect by the white officers. I cannot say, honestly, I can't really say, when I was a teenager and I was acting stupid, I had some, some iffy treatment. But for the most part, throughout my life, I've been pulled over and all that. And, hey, how you doing, sir? Very respectful. I believe for the most part, law enforcement just want to do their job. Because, they took this job, they want to do good, and they want to get home to their family safe and sound. They don't have time for you talking about your right to travel and you am I detained? Are you arresting me? Arguing with a cop like that will surely get you arrested. And this is what happened. They got arrested. But yet they got some fancy method that they think is going to work. But they want me, if they're so confident in their method, they want me to look at it. Know why? Because they know I'm good at what I do. They know I'm the best that they can. If all of those other things were so good and everybody's applauding it, why are you coming to me? Because they know I'm a bad boy. But here's the thing. They know how good I am, but they still want me to vet somebody else's trash. I don't vet trash. I don't look at trash. All I look at is what I do. And this is how I handle situations. And for this person, I wouldn't even do it for them. Because they're too old and already know better. They already knew where I was coming from. So they couldn't even pay me. Well, if they pay me like 10 grand, I might help. I can reconsider and deal with the nonsense. But I'm not vetting their trash and stuff that I already know is trash. Okay? So I found a case. And I'm glad that happened because it made me look up some stuff. I'm glad. Because I had an issue where a guy needs a passport. They stopping him because of his IRS debt. And I had this, I do so much stuff. I had so much success with stuff. I forget. of what I did for certain things, certain times, because I didn't record it properly how I did it, is I've helped people with IRS debt before get their passport. But I didn't quite use this case called Kent versus Dulles. I don't know how that's spelled. 357 US 116 1958. You share the screen. And yeah, when I say I'm a bad boy, I say that. I don't say it to brag. I just say it because that's the confidence I had. I've had so much success with stuff. It's become a real habit. And I know trash when I see it. Okay, Kent versus Deuce, 357 US 116. This case happened because a guy tried to get his passport and he was denied a passport because they accused him of being a communist. That's why he couldn't get his passport. So it says syllabus. At a time when an act of Congress required a passport for foreign travel by citizens of a state of a national emergency had been declared by the president, and when the proclamation necessary to make the act effective have been made, the Secretary of State denied passports to petitioners because of the alleged communist beliefs and associations and their refusal to file affidavits concerning present or past membership in the Communist Party. So they said alleged. So they were being accused. And so basically the secretary was just saying, you can't get one because I believe you're a communist and you won't file an affidavit to the contrary. Isn't that kind of, they looking for an affidavit saying who you are? Even on the passport application right now, it says sign, they want something, an explanatory statement. They don't call it an affidavit, but they say explanatory statement. Or you will be looked at as a U.S. citizen. Isn't that interesting? Held, the secretary was not authorized to deny the passports for these reasons under Act of July 3rd, 1926, 22 U.S.C. Section 211A or Section 215 of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952, 8 U.S.C. Section 1185, 357 U.S. 117, 130. So I would suggest you read these different nationality acts. It's always good information in these things, right? So, A, the right to travel is a part of the liberty of which a citizen cannot be deprived without due process of law under the Fifth Amendment. So, what does the Fifth Amendment say? What does that say? I should know what it is. Okay, let's get the actual. Here it is. Fifth Amendment: no person shall be held, excuse me, to answer for capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment of indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces, or in the militia. When in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So it's saying right here, I'm sorry, I didn't share that screen. Let me so y'all can see this. Hang on. Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without just due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. The key word is liberty. Liberty. So in order for someone to deprive you your right to travel, you must have due process of law. And what is due process? You have to go before a court of competent jurisdiction, tried, need to be heard. Your side need to be heard. The other side needs to be defend its cause on why you shouldn't have your passport. and then a decision is made. So how is that happening when they just say you cannot get your passport because you owe this debt? What court of competent jurisdiction has deemed you not to be able to get a passport, who have deemed you unfit? What court order is there? They just wrote in some statute saying that if the IRS commissioner certifies you this, that, and the other. When have you had time to even go to court over that? See, I'm basically telling y'all how to fight that and win. I'm showing you how to fight this. So to all of you guys with IRS debts and even child support debts, when did they go to court and say, get a court order, you cannot get a passport because you didn't pay your child support and you owe over? That's one of the biggest things that keep guys from getting passports. No one. You've been deprived of your right of due process, and you basically could challenge the secretary who issues the passport with this case. So let's keep reading. The right to travel is part of a liberty of which citizens cannot be deprived without process of law under the Fifth Amendment. The broad power of the secretary under 22 U.S.C. Section 211A to issue passports, which has long been considered discretionary, has been construed generally to authorize the refusal of passport only when the applicant is not a citizen or person owing allegiance to the United States, or two, was engaging in criminal or lawful activity. See, the court hesitates to impute to Congress when in 1952 it made a passport necessary for foreign travel and left its issuance to the discretion of the Secretary of State, a purpose to give him unbridled discretion to withhold a passport from a citizen for any substantive reason for he may choose. D, no question concerning the exercise of war powers involved in this case. E, if a citizen's liberty to travel is to be regulated, it must be pursuant to the lawmaking functions of Congress. Any delegation of power must be subject to adequate standards, and such delegated authority will be narrowly construed. F, the Act of July 3rd, 1926, 22 U.S.C. Section 211A and Section 215 of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952, 8 U.S.C. Section 1185 do not delegate to the Secretary authority to withhold passports to citizens because of their beliefs or associations, and any act of Congress purporting to do so would raise grave constitutional questions. The only act of Congress expressly curtailing the movement of communists across our borders, and subsection 2 and 6 of the Internal Security Act of 1950 has not yet become effective because the Communist Party has not registered under the act, and there is not in effect a final order of board requiring it to do so. This case concerns two applications for passport denied by the Secretary of State. One was by Rockwell Kent, who desired to visit England and attend a meeting of an organization known as the World Council of Peace in Helsinki, Finland. The director of passport office informed Kent that issuance of a passport was precluded by Section 51.135 of the regulations promulgated by the Secretary of State on two grounds: that he was a communist, and two, that he had a consistent and prolonged adherence to the Communist Party line. The letter of denial specified in some detail the facts of which those conclusions were based. Kent was also advised of his right to an informal hearing under Section 51.137 of the regulations, but he was also told that whether or not a hearing was requested, it would be necessary before a passport would be issued to submit an affidavit as to whether he was then or ever had been a communist. Kent did not ask for a hearing, but filed a new passport application listing several European countries he desired to visit. When advised that a hearing was still available to him, his attorney replied that Kent took the position that the requirement of an affidavit concerning Communist Party membership is unlawful, and that for that reason, and as a matter of conscience, he would not supply one. See, he actually used a matter of conscience not to even give them what they wanted, the affidavit. So he stood on his position that what they was doing was unconstitutional by accusing him to be a communist and then requiring him to say whether he was or he wasn't by way of affidavit. He did, however, have a hearing at which the principal evidence against him was from his book, It's Me, O Lord, which Kent agreed was accurate. He again refused to submit the affidavit, maintaining that any matters unregulated to the question of his citizenship were irrelevant to the department's consideration of his application. The department advised him that no further consideration of his application would be given until he satisfied the requirements of the regulation. Thereupon, Kent sued in the district court for declaratory relief. Ooh, they're telling you where to go. They're actually telling you where to go to sue the secretary when they refuse you for a passport. In your case, it said the district court granted summary judgment for respondent on appeal. The case of Kent was heard with that of Dr. Walter Brahe, a psychiatrist with Braille, I think it's Braille, applied for passport. The director of passport office asked him to supply the affidavit covering membership in the Communist Party. Braille, like Kent, refused. The director then tentatively disapproved the application on the following grounds. In your case, it has been alleged that you were a communist. Specifically, it is alleged that you were a member of the Los Angeles County Communist Party, that you were a member of the Bookshop Association, St. Louis, Missouri, that you held Communist Party meetings, that in 1936 and 1941, you contributed articles to communist publications, Social Work Today, that in 1939, 1940, and 1941, you were a sponsor to raise funds for veterans of the Abraham Lincoln Brigade in calling on the President of the United States by a petition to defend the rights of Communist Party and its members, that you contributed to the Civil Rights Congress bail fund to be used in raising bail on behalf of convicted communist leaders in New York City, that you were a member of the Hollywood Arts, Social Professions Council, and a contact of the Los Angeles Committee for Protection of Foreign Born and contact of the Freedom States Incorporated. Let me stop right here. As I'm reading this, all of these organizations that they're naming off and accusing of being communist, if I strongly believe these are democratic organizations. Just by, first of all, it's in California is a democratic state. New York City is another one. So, interesting. You were a member of Hollywood Arts Science. Yeah, I read that. Director advised Braille of his right to a hearing, but stated that whether or not a hearing was held, an affidavit concerning membership in the Communist Party would be necessary. Braille asked for a hearing, and one was held. At that hearing, he raised three objections: that his political affiliations were irrelevant to his right to a passport, that every American citizen has the right to travel regardless of the politics. They're using American citizen and not U.S. citizen. And that the burden was on the department to prove illegal activities by Braille. Braille persisted in his refusal to supply the affidavit. Because that refusal, Braille was advised that the Board of Passport Appeals could not, under the regulation, entertain any appeal. Braille filed his complaint to the district court, which held that his case was indistinguishable from Kent's and dismissed the complaint. The Court of Appeals heard the two cases en bloc and affirmed the district court by a divided vote, 101. I don't read out. The cases were here on writ of certiorari. The court first noted that the function that the passport performed in American law in the case of I can't pronounce that, and I won't. There is no law of the United States in the matter regulating the issue of passport directed upon what evidence it may be done or declaring their legal act. It is understood as a matter of practice that some evidence of citizenship is required by the Secretary of State before issuing a passport. This, however, is entirely discretionary. With him, no inquiry is instituted by him to ascertain the fact of citizenship or any proceedings had that will in any manner be the character of a judicial inquiry. It is a document which, from its nature and object, is addressed to foreign powers, purporting only to be a request that the bearer of it may pass safely and freely. And it is to be considered rather in the character of political document by which the bearer is recognized in foreign country as American citizen, which by usage and the law of nations is received as evidence of the fact. A passport not only is of great value, indeed necessary abroad, it is also an aid in establishing citizenship for purposes of re-entry into the United States. See Browder versus United States. But throughout most of our history, until indeed quite recently, a passport, though a great convenience in foreign travel, was not a legal requirement for leaving or entering the United States. See Jaffe, The Right to Travel, The Passport Problem, 35 Foreign Affairs 17. Apart from minor exceptions to be noted, it was first made a requirement by Section 215 of the Act of June 27, 1952, 16 Stat 190B USC Section 1185, which states that after a prescribed proclamation by the president, it is unlawful for any citizen of the United States to depart from or enter or attempt to depart from or into the United States. Page 357 US 122 states unless he bears a valid passport and the proclamation necessary to make the restriction of the act applicable and enforced have been made. Prior to 1952, there were numerous laws enacted by Congress regulating passports and many decisions, rulings, and regulations by executive department concerning them. Thus, in 1803, Congress made it unlawful for an official knowingly to issue a passport to an alien certifying that he is a citizen. 2 Stat 205 in 1815, just prior to the termination of the War of 1812, it made it illegal for citizens to cross the frontier into enemy territory, to board vessels of enemy on waters of the United States, or to visit any of the camps within the limits of the United States. So basically, this is saying that a passport's sole purpose is to verify your country of origin so that you can pass back and forth. So people will know where you are from, what country you come from. A passport is not a tool to be used to prevent somebody from travel just because they either owe IRS debt or child support debt. And in this case, because they had political affiliations with the Communist Party. Let's see. I want to go down here. There's a lot of stuff to read. Let's read this one. The right to travel is part of the liberty of which the citizen cannot be deprived without due process of law under the Fifth Amendment. So much is conceded by the Solicitor General in Anglo-Saxon law. That right was emerging at least as early as the Magna Carta. Shafi. 3 human rights in the Constitution of 1787, 171-181, 187 as sequential, shows how deeply ingrained in our history this freedom of movement is. Freedom of movement across frontiers in either direction and inside frontiers as well was part of our heritage. Travel abroad, like travel within the country, may be necessary for livelihood. It may be as close to the heart of the individual as a choice of what he eats or wears or reads. Freedom of movement is basic in our scheme of values. Now, here's the other thing that it says. Be necessary for livelihood. So basically, this is alluding to that if you have to travel because of business, they definitely shouldn't be denying you. Okay? Our nation, wrote Shafi, has thrived on the principle that outside areas of plainly harmful conduct, every American is left to shape his own life as he thinks best, do what he pleases, go where he pleases. Freedom of movement also has large social values. As Shafi put it, foreign correspondents and lecturers on public affairs need first-hand information. Scientists and scholars gain greatly from the consultations with colleagues in other countries. Students equip themselves for more fruitful careers in the United States by instruction in foreign university. Then there are reasons close to the core of the personal life: marriage, reuniting with families, spending hours with old friends. Finally, travel abroad enables American citizens to understand that people like themselves live in Europe and helps them to be well informed. On public issues, an American who has crossed the ocean is not obliged to form his opinions about our foreign policy merely from what he is told by officials of our government or by few correspondents of American newspapers. Moreover, his views on domestic questions are enriched by seeing how foreigners are trying to solve similar problems in many different ways. Direct contact with other countries contributes to sounder decisions at home. Freedom to travel is indeed an important aspect of citizen liberty. We need not decide the extent to which it can be curtailed. We are first concerned with the extent, if any, to which Congress has authorized its curtailment. The difficulty is that while the power of Secretary of State over the issuance of passports is expressed in broad terms, it was apparently long exercised quite narrowly. So far as material here, the cases of refusal of passports generally fell into two categories. First, question pertinent to the citizens of the applicant and his allegiance to the United States had to be resolved by the Secretary, for the command of Congress was that no passport shall be granted or issued or verified for any other person than those owing allegiance, whether citizen or not, to the United States. 32 Stat 386, 22 USC Section 212. So, if you read this, the way I teach y'all to do the passport now, and where you show your allegiance to God and nothing else. There is no way they can question or deny that. See, when you start using all these other issues to defend your cause, they can argue with you. They can't argue with you when you're using your religious beliefs. When you put that in your affidavit, it can't. The grounds for refusal asserted here do not relate to citizenship or allegiance on the one hand, or to criminal or unlawful conduct on the other hand. Yet, so far as relevant here, those two are the only ones which could fairly be argued were adopted by Congress in light of prior administrative practice. One can find in the records of the State Department rules of subordinates covering a wider range of activities than the two indicated. But as respects communists, these are scattered rulings and not consistently of one pattern. We can say with assurance that whatever may have been the practice after 1926, at the time the Act of July 3rd, 1926 was adopted, the administrative practice so far as relevant here had gelled only around the two categories mentioned. We therefore hesitate to impute to Congress when, in 1952, it made a passport necessary for foreign travel and left its issuance to the discretion of the Secretary of State. And he goes on and on and on and on. I'm not reading all that anymore. I'm done. Basically, y'all need to go read it. This is remedy here. You can get remedy from this. If you are being hindered by child support and taxes. None of that has to do with your right to travel. None of that has to do with you being an American national. None of it. None of what they're saying has anything. They're trying to hinder you from traveling simply because they say you owe somebody some money. And nowhere in the Constitution does it support that. Yeah, they got written federal statutes about it, but it won't hold water against your right to due process. Who took you to court and deemed you guilty, found you liable? You had no due process. And it never is. It's just a letter they send to restrict you. So with that being said, guess what? Another passport webinar is on its way. Stop that. So there you have it. You have a right to travel. They can't stop you. but you will have to fight for your right to travel. You will have to work for it. And it's going to take time. Like I had somebody call me, they're about to travel next month. And they said, "Oh, you got anything I could do so I can get it?" And they had a long time to work on this, and they wanted me to throw a Hail Mary. No, I don't have nothing that can get it done that fast within a few weeks. Come on, man, I'm good, but I need time to work that out. If you know you're traveling, you need to be working on those problems now. Don't wait till weeks before and hope it's supposed to go through or something like that. All right, what do y'all have to say about that in the chat? Who's in there? Cypher Ministry. Asheen Bay. Peace. Yolanda Williams is in there. Charles Bryant. You know what kills me? Gets me. Like I said earlier, people will send me scriptures and then they lead in with their wants. Whatever they want fixed. But you know what happens? None of those people will go to my website and get a consultation. See, pretty soon I'm gonna be very inaccessible. So to just even do a regular consultation, pretty soon that's coming, because I do consultations all the time. And what happens is I give people advice and most of them don't even listen to it. So I'm like, why am I doing consultation? I could be doing better things with my time. All the materials to fix your problems is on my website. All the materials is, if you're in a membership, you even got everybody in there got access to me twice a month. See, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my consultations and raise them way up, so only serious people will pay, and I'll just deal with people who are really serious about this thing. Because I could tell you how many times I've given, hey, this is what you need to do, and they go to another channel and listen to that fancy stuff they're talking about, and they follow that. See, the reason why people follow those other sites and those other remedies, because those other remedies require too good to be true schemes. They're too good to be true. And it also has to do with like discharge. I don't have to pay my bills, so I'm gonna send these fancy letters and write stuff on the bill and do accepted for value or redeeming lawful money, all of that stuff, and send it there, and they're just gonna pay my bill off. See, it involves that broke mindset techniques. See, the stuff I teach, you got to invest some time and some coin to get it done, and then you get your bills paid, but not the way they're teaching it. I've had 3 people in the last 9 months get their mortgages paid off through the technique. That's just mortgages. We're not talking about bank accounts and other stuff. Just mortgages. Look at the freedom from that. And they didn't do any fancy writings. They didn't write any negotiable instruments or money orders. They didn't do anything like that. They just did it according to the IRS rules. The IRS tells you how to do it. The problem is people are following techniques and they never even read their IRS manuals on how to do their taxes properly for their trust. All of the rules is right there. When me and Al was traveling around doing seminars, he didn't read from a website. He didn't read from some book somebody wrote. He went straight to the laws of the IRS, the rules. I wouldn't say laws, their rules, the IRS manual, and read the rules on how you're supposed to conduct business with your trust. He read it right from there. This is what you can do. This is what you can do. And if you don't do it this way, the penalties that's involved. Yeah, right. The cyber ministry. It caters to the crook mindset, always wanting to get over on someone. Absolutely. Those methods cater to people who go and take out contracts to buy homes and houses, and they want it for free. I remember a while ago, a guy called me up to do a consultation on discharge. He said, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna get all these cars with my credit, and I'm gonna discharge them, and then I'm gonna sell them." So he's gonna become a dealership overnight, just with no investment involved. What country, in what lifetime do I know in this realm, in this 3D dimension? Where can you become a car dealer overnight just by writing some fancy money order and be able to sell the cars? And I said, whoa, bro. I know this was when I was on my way out with working with these people who are teaching this. I said, bro, it ain't that simple. I said, and I told him like this. I said, I have done the very discharge that you're trying to do right now, and I have not been able to discharge one vehicle. He was like, really? I thought you, because you work with such and such, you did it. I said, no, you never heard me get on the air and say I discharged anything. I said, I was working on it, and I'm telling you straight up, because this is after like almost 2 years have went by. I said, no. So the dude, of course, being a rat that he was, went back and told. Yeah, he said the discharge didn't work. And I got questioned, like, yeah, I told him, no, it didn't work for me. He thought he could buy cars. I don't want him to go and get in debt with all of these cars, and then he can't discharge them, and they come in to repo him, and his credit gets screwed up. So I'm being honest with him. Yeah, that's how I am. I'm going to tell you my real life. If it worked, it worked. I tell you. Then I'll show you proof. If it don't work, I tell you it don't work, and I don't have no proof that it works. So, and I don't have any proof of anybody. Every time I do a video on discharge, somebody comes in my comment, oh, I did it and it worked, but they offer no proof. Now, I know what I do. I kindly delete that comment. Tell you, the worst thing I see is people just believe in this nonsense without ever getting evidence that it's true. And they'll come and talk to you. Yeah, man, you could do this. Yeah, man, all excited. And then I said, well, okay, show me the proof. And they'd be like, well, you know, that's when it starts to go downhill. When you start asking, then they get defensive. How do you know it don't work? That's the idiot statement they say. That how do you know? I know it don't work because it never worked for me and anybody else I knew who tried it. And the people who said they did it never showed me proof that it did work. That's my proof. I know some of y'all listening. How many people showed y'all proof that they discharge work? I know some of y'all want to really believe it works so y'all can get something for free. I talked about Joseph yesterday and how there was a famine and his brothers were sent into Egypt to buy some grain. They didn't go there with their hand asking for handouts. They came with silver and said, hey, we want to buy some. And Egypt sold. Joseph sold silver. He traded land for that grain. No one got anything for free, even though the country was starving. No one got anything without paying for it some way, somehow. In those 7 years, they would drop. First, they gave money, and then they ran out of money. So the only thing left was to give up some of their land to get the grain so that they wouldn't starve to death. Even in those desperate circumstances, people had to pay. And guess what? We're about to get into some desperate circumstances, and you're going to have to pay some way, somehow. Are you prepared? Look at what handouts have done to the communities. All it did was create more generations of people who just want a handout. thinking they can get something for nothing. They don't have to work for it. There's no prosperity in getting handouts. There's no prosperity in getting something for nothing. There's no breaking of whenever that's why there's one political party that advocates for giving people stuff that don't work for it. And I'm gonna tell you why they advocate for that. Because see, under all of these bills that allocate money to different so-called good causes, they got other deals they're striking in there. Other deals that really are hurting you that you know nothing about. Whenever they create a bill for something, it's got a whole pages, So they're doing a bill about getting rid of student loans or something like that, or creating digital currency. But the bill is about that thick. It's because it's got a bunch of other stuff that you're never going to read that's taking away your freedoms. This is why they push for these bills, and they make the highlight, increasing giving Social Security or getting rid of student loan debt. Get you to focus on that. And that's all you're focusing on that, but you don't read the rest of the bill where it's telling you, well, we're going to increase our digital AI intelligence so we can spy on your computer if you connect to certain things. You see, that's the stuff you're missing. You're not paying attention to. So whatever what they got you focusing on, that's not what's really going on. That's the smoke and mirrors. That's the distraction. Like all of this other stuff, gender fluid, whatever you want to call it stuff, those are distractions from what's really going on. Okay? What is it, 8:56? Yeah, there you have it. Those of you who got issues with the passport because of those issues, there you go. And if you notice, there were other cases. I just didn't read those cases. Man, I mean, I can see the affidavit in my mind, or the correspondence I would have with them about them denying my passport for those circumstances. I can see it. It's already written out in my mind. Already. I got this thing bookmarked because when I teach on it and show you how to do it and go after your rights, now how is Siri's opening up over here? I didn't say nothing about no Siri, but all right. Nobody got a question? Somebody said Britney Spears or grind is a distraction. Absolutely. Listen, don't have a broke mindset. Don't chase after these get something for nothing schemes, and don't definitely get locked up. I started off talking about someone who didn't have their license, didn't have registration, didn't have insurance, hit somebody in the back. It's their fault. And then they're trying to play it down like it's the police officers are wrong. No, you're wrong. You're the idiot. You are wrong. You hit somebody in the back. The police is coming to mediate that, and here you are giving them a hard time because you decide I'm not going to carry that because it makes me this and it makes me that. And all it did was get you locked up. And guess what? It's going to make you even more broke because now you got to pay all of the fines that's associated with that, all of the costs it goes to go back and forth to court when you could be doing something else to make money. See, those causes, those methods always lead to more problems. The more you try not to pay for something, the more money gets taken from you. That's why it says it's better to give than it is to receive. Be honorable. Pay your bills. Be a cheerful giver. Pay it. Because why? It always comes back. It always comes back. Always come back. When you circulate that money, it comes back. Don't be afraid because you hold on to it, nothing else can get in. See that fist? If my fist is closed and I'm holding on to whatever's in here, it can't get nothing else in there. Gotta one hand, circulate around. Keep coming. The money is not yours. You basically borrowing it anyway. It's not yours. And when this body ceases to exist, you can't take it with you. Somebody else be spending it. So spend it. Circulate it. All right. That being said, that's it. I hope that helped. I hope that gave you some insight. And donate to the cause. There's my donate. Cash App. Circulate some money to me so you can have some come back to you. Be a cheerful giver. Prosperity. We must all.